Hello everybody, and welcome back to episode 22 of Hearts of Iron 4 Old World Blues, my Enclave playthrough. Here we are, back again. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've had a lot of things to do, and I've been so stressed trying to do that stuff that I've completely forgotten about this.
Enclave here.
My bad.
This is Enclave main comm.
Yeah, a bit of a yikes moment on that part.
This is Enclave main comm.
Can't do much or say much about it.
This is Enclave main comm.
But hey, we are back.
This is Enclave main comm.
Probably the last episode.
This is Enclave main comm.
This is probably the end. I don't know if I have enough in me to actually continue on to a third of the 23rd episode with how things are going.
Enclave here.
We've won. Everything's over. At this point, it's just kind of like mop up time, I guess.
Enclave here.
Unironically, like what at this point, what is there left to do? I mean, I could sit here and deal with every single one of these tiny minor nations or whatnot, but like, why would I do that? I just don't care. I've completed pretty much my entire objective. I got the United States back. At this point, it's just cleanup. It's legit just cleanup at this point. Like, the only person that's really left that would technically be of any threat to me would, I guess, be the Republic of Mexico. And seeing as they have 44 divisions, most of which are based off of my stuff, what does it really mean? What's the point? EPA base camps established. What was this for again? I forgot. Right, I think we were moving to fix the Grand Canyon. I think it was. This is interesting. Future marches. Yeah, we were cleaning up more stuff. Power already, I guess, and guess we'll restore those two. Not bringing Vault-Tec back. Right, I was waiting for pretty much all of those ones so I can just do them all at the same time. Remember that. Mexican Reclamation, Eden Kits, Mini Nukes. Oh, right, yes. Nearly forgot to read this. Director Collis has announced that his Grand Canyon Task Force has managed to set up camp at the Old Vercamp's Visitor Center after clearing out some raiders who were using the place as a hideout. A second force has been dispatched by Reborn to secure the North Rim Visitor Center, and a third group is setting up near the Bomb 002 site. The Bomb 002 site and North Rim Visitor Center base camps will work their way towards each other, with primary coordination being run from the Vercamp's Visitor Center. Smaller teams are being sent to known uranium mines and waste sites to assess just how bad the damage is, but overflights are looking grim. At night, there's distinct green glows from known dump sites, and Collis is putting in the request for additional hazmat suits. There's also the threat of local wildlife with mole rats, giant insects, and telltale signs of death claws in the area. Collis has dispatched some of the security forces there to help shore things up. Curiously, we're getting strange reports of screeches and bizarre howls in the night, but it's probably nothing. Just the wind, probably. That reminds me of another statement at some point. Yeah, we really don't need any more equipment at this point. We have damn near infinite amounts of anything we'd ever want. But whatever. What's my focus going on? Santiago's sojourn. Work on the Grand Canyon begins. Director Collis is proud to announce that his away teams are clearing out the toxic waste. Truckloads of the stuff are being brought to designated landing sites and flown out by Verber to areas for proper disposal. The biggest problem is the remote locations of many of the sites, and there are about 3 dozen of them, and the shoddy construction of the routes to reach them. It seems Poseidon Energy saved big on constructing the roads out of cheap lumber, and 200 years in a dry climate has not helped. Engineers are being dispatched to assist in reinforcing some of these bridges so that they don't fall out underneath our trucks. Colossus has already lost a convoy and several injured when one bridge gave out, leading to the assessment of all others. We've also got reports of missing supplies and movement at night, making some believe there might be some remnant legionnaires still stalking the areas, causing Colossus to beef security with robots. Aside this drawback, the uranium mines are being identified as secondary, as while they are radioactive, they are nowhere near as bad as the dump sites. Got a point. That's fair. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Santiago's Sojourn. Nothing really to do here. I think I could probably bypass this one. Santiago's Sojourn, which is this one. Curiously, a squad of soldiers had arrived, getting lost trying to find MacArthur Air Force Base, claiming there's a detachment of Enclave soldiers. And then I guess we could do Masters of the Wasteland. Add Manifest Destiny, which grants weekly war support of 5%, Special Forces minimum capacity of plus 100. Not really a whole lot to do. I am tempted, however, to go for like NORAD. I do want to get NORAD. That's 100% something I want to do. Speaking of, where is NORAD? Air Force, no, not you. Arsenal Democracy, don't really care. Oh, here it is. I overlooked it. And then we can build up the new bases. I wanna go to what's it called? I want to actually get to. I wanna open NORAD's areas. Mirelurk attack. Seems we found the culprit of missing supplies and movements within the canyon. A scouting group was accosted by several of the mutated monsters while trying to find a closer landing zone for the vertibirds. The team members are suffering from gashes, and each one is suffering concussions from the Mirelurk King's screeching. But they have been evacuated and are expected to make a full recovery. While this was to be expected, Colossus regrets that this will cause delays, as sweep teams will have to go back over areas previously cleared to check for residual Mirelurks. Further, several of the VB-01s that were slaughtered for toxic waste transportation are being repurposed for air patrols to find any Mirelurk migration to ensure that an event like this doesn't happen again. Damn freaky crabs. And I guess Colonel David Stenson falls ill. Cypher Warden and the Cyphers are about to become puppets, pretty much. Urban Plasma Rifle. Advanced Power Armor Mark IIs. And now they are at peace. Good. Peace. Peace is good. There is... Well, now that I've gotten that done, what to do now? Guess the virtual reality training. Oh, that's what that one focus is for. Gotcha. Where I need to go? Outdated equipment. Urban plasma rifles. And with that, we have something to actually upgrade. Oh, right, and we also get to upgrade this power armor to the advanced Mark II model. We are going to be very out of equipment. Robco Industries, General Atomics, Stand Security, H&H Tools Company, Distribute Hit Boys. Okay, we're gonna have to move everything back into a stack, and we'll just go on the list. The robots of Robco litter the wastes and are often a hazard to many a scavenger and caravan guard alike, and sending shutdown codes from a recognized source could save lives. Many more are in a state of disrepair and could be a boon to scrappers and salvagers if there was a central system to repair and refit. That was our idea anyway, with Robco, a recognizable pre-war name that would not only be recognized, but would also add legitimacy to our cause. Until Mr. House sent us a message claiming ownership of the brand. After a series of legal debates and stare-downs between Mr. House Securitrons and U.S. Power Armor, House relented his ownership, but maintains a role in the company as an advisor and monetary consultant. Any other pre-war moguls still alive? Proceeds from the company are being taxed for use by the government. Good. Fleet of robots and an army of workers, General Atomics has started work on restoring many of the still dilapidated areas of Dayglow, Neutrino, and beyond. Both the President of the United States and the newly commissioned President of General Atomics has expressed great interest in restoring America's great cities, creating thousands of new jobs, and providing a positive light of the Mr. Handy model robots, production of which is expected to restart in the coming weeks, with personal units expected to be sold off once construction is finished. A spokeswoman from General Atomics has stated all weapons and combat procedures from civilian models have been removed per safety regulate requests by several consumer protection organizations. Taxed by the government. How much of my time is going to be taken up with this? Whatever. It's no secret that the gun runner's monopoly has caused concern amongst several caravan companies, small-time owners, and even some within the Army. With the recapture of Seattle and likewise Stent Security main headquarters and production facility, that ends today by presidential mandate. At a ribbon-cutting ceremony in the former Dark Brotherhood city, Stent Security reopens its doors, manufacturing several ballistic weapons such as R-95, along with post-war models for the Wastelanders on a budget. While it will take some time to gain the large consumer base as the gun runners, the fact that they lacked a customer base in the Pacific Northwest and are now forbidden from operating there until 2320 gives the restart up an edge in competition. Competition is good. Taxed, of course. Private ownership was the cornerstone of American business pre-war. While the Enclave set up much of the infrastructure to power, heat, and cool homes across the wastes, it's become a drain on the administration whose efforts are better suited elsewhere. Today, in an official ceremony, the Department of Infrastructure and Public Works handed over control of much of the nation's power supply to Watts Electronics, while some criticized the privatization of national infrastructure. A Watts spokeswoman has said the company will offset costs through the production and sales of various energy weapons and other electronic devices that, while scarce today, were common in the 2100s. These include laser rifles, electronic lockpicks, and even radios for the Wastelanders to enjoy. Lights are on, America. Of course, being taxed, H&H tools. Oh my goodness. To build America back, America needs tools. One of the best products on the market in the pre-war was H&H Tool Company. We were keen to open the company up and distribute as many drills, nail guns, and auto axes as the production lines could put out when we were approached by Mr. House's Securitrons. Apparently, this is his company, not only by the fact he bought it out from his estranged half-brother, but by birthright. After a small legal battle and what almost erupted into a firefight between his Securitrons and army troops, he's relinquished ownership of the company only after making the odd request to have his half-brother's name redacted or erased entirely. We were too happy to oblige, and our already requests are coming in from across the country. Okay, this is the second company that he's supposedly owned. Is there anything this guy doesn't own? At Technology Securitron. Apparently, the game decided to have the same sentiment as I did, which is funny, actually. So, really nowhere else to put any more power grids, which is problematic, but whatever. Trade, pretty much maxed out everything, whatever. Arc Jet Systems. Attempting to recreate the success of the Lockreed School out west, the President's administration has likewise set up a similar school out east, with former Arc Jet Systems. Despite the East Coast being nowhere near as civilized or advanced as the West, there has been a surprising number of applicants with both engineering and electrical knowledge, which has made the creation of the school all the easier. Many have even noted that aircraft engineering is simpler than the electrical wiring and construction of settlements in the East, something that even our engineers are having issues with grasping. Why is the settlement system so hard? I think that was a jab at Fallout 4. Honestly, I can't blame them. I never really understood it. I'm gonna be honest. Do I replace it with the gunships, or do I move to get like better jet fighters? How are you outdated? Yeah, I don't understand how you are counted as outdated, but let me just simplify everything down real quick. Yeah, I still don't understand, but okay. Xeon 85. You are all at transports, but it doesn't really matter to me. You're upgrading currently. Howitzers are in place. The thing that really needs upgrading is the Winchester Turbo Plasma Rifles over here and the Advanced Power Armor Mark IIs. So, that's helpful. I could do for increasing the infrastructure, I guess. Jet engines, okay. I don't know if you guys got to read that red text, but pretty much it just said the AI is dumb, so we're making it seem, at the very least, that it's a higher cost, so they'll just go research something else. It was pretty much the gist I got. What is it? Right click. There we go. That should work for infrastructure for a while. Should occupy that. What else to do? Sure, let's research more stuff. So, we can pretty much trigger all of those. I'm just going to wait on the circle junction part. President Granite, there's a Securitron outside your door, and it's got Mr. House's picture on it. Not the cowboy, Mr. House himself. Seems he wants to speak to you about something important. It's in regards to the reinstated Space Administration. Well, this is a first. Or speak of the devil and he shall appear. We're going to do speak of the devil and he shall appear, because that sounds funnier. Was this because I completed this focus? It shouldn't be. Definitely shouldn't be. Move over to NORAD. Down. NORAD. Okay. Mr. President, while I typically loathe working with governments of any kind, you have proven resourceful beyond even my means. In just a few years, you have done what the NCR only dreamed of, the Legion failed to realize, the Brotherhood could never achieve, and more than I have in 200 years. For that, you have my respect. What I'm offering you is a ground floor opportunity in the most important undertaking on Earth. To shake the bonds of this planet and spread out among the stars. What I thought would take me 50 years we can achieve in but just a few months. In a few years we could have a lunar colony. In a decade, a Martian colony. American colony ships searching for new frontiers. You have Bloomfield, and I have Repcon Aerospace. What I'm offering America is a future among the stars. Alright, we start the Space Administration. Space Mechanic. Fourth wall break here. This is just a test run of this whole space thing as I try and develop it further. At its core, it's scavenging mechanic reverse engineered, but won't be adding anything aside a few events. It's more or less a fun little thing I ended up making to see what I could do. I want to expand on it, but for now it's a series of decisions and events all linked together. Nothing too fancy yet. I'll get there eventually. So enjoy for now. Well, thank you. This looks interesting. Ah, this is the Lost Brotherhood thing. Never mind. Let's see. It seems Mr. House has not been idle. Despite losing his rockets at Repcon, he's brought forth designs for the Delta X, an upgrade to our pre-war Delta 9 rocket/ICBM. The new model comes with a larger crew model, better engines and safety features, and a suite of electronics and systems that far outclass its predecessor. Further, it's all buildable quite easily using post-war industrial technology, or industrial techniques, which Mr. House lacks, but we do not. We can begin production immediately. He came prepared, I see. Our lost brethren. For some time, refugees from Heaven's Gate and traders from further northeast spoke of a force describing themselves as the U.S. Army. They seem to be holding out in parts of Montana near... I assume that's supposed to be... Missouri? Missoula. Oh, that is an actual place. I couldn't pronounce it in my head. Directing resource gathering efforts and providing security and safety to the local populace, along with soft martial law, censorship, and the occasional pre-justice act against ghouls, super mutants, or occasional deformed human. In short, that sounds like a splinter faction of the Enclave. It's reported that they are led by a well-to-do commanding general and not a megalomaniac moron. So unfortunately, it's not Richardson's son. Set a search team. MacArthur's Last Stand. Oh, right. These are the MacArthur guys that were right here. Our return to MacArthur was not a warm one. We knew we'd find some remnant of the battle, but nothing like this. The bodies remained frozen where they fell. Some Enclave, others Raiders, even some Brotherhood forces. The base itself is destroyed as the Enclave defenders desperately tried to deny their enemy any advantage with taking the base. Others were seen holding a desperate last stand to buy the survivors that fled to Nevada just enough time to evacuate. Searching the bunkers and lower levels found even more bodies, signs of heavy fighting, and not a survivor in sight. Santiago herself broke down in tears as she saw the bodies of her men and women strewn about. Combat casualty forces are collecting the bodies for examination and record keeping. If there is one silver lining, we managed to find the schematics for the Hermes Special Forces armor, which Colonel Callahan managed to find hidden with the body of his cousin. Prepare a proper burial, full military honors. Special Forces Hermes armor kit. Which should mean, if I go up, no, not here. Nope, hold on. Let me just delete you real quick. Can I replace you with a Hermes? I can. Hold on. It's time to compare. 9 defense. 14 defense. Breakthrough of 21. Breakthrough of 14. Hardness 35. Hardness 90. Soft attack of 12. Hard attack of 6. I'm noticing the Advanced Power Armor Mark II is just built different in comparison. So, Neutrinos. We're going to keep that. Guess we're getting a new agent as well, because why not? Right, nuclear defense operations. Prepare Delta X rocket. Screw it, we're going to space. Oh, hey, Thorad's back up. I know there's a few more events. I'm 100% sure of that, but the problem is getting to them because they take a little while to load. So, like, at this point, it's just how long do I really want to wait before I testing my patience? Alright, Nuclear Defense Operations Command. Pre-war, what has become known as the Divide was home to the Ballistic Defense Division's Southwest Operations Command of the Commonwealth Ballistic Administration. Holy fuck, that is a mouthful. A mouthful if there ever was one. Okay, apparently, yeah, that agrees with me. Suffice to say, we aren't expecting to be nuked anytime soon unless it's ourselves. Instead, the base had the locations of several of our nuclear silos dotted across the United States, several of which were automated to build more nuclear missiles. We cannot begin to stress the danger of these weapons falling into enemy hands. While we can answer the nuclear question later, we need to make it a priority to collect and recover nuclear weapons across the continent before it is too late. But to do that, we need a base of operations. And that base is the old Ballistic Defense Division Operations Center in Hopeville. Since we've returned to the base, we've been hard at work getting it ready to resume operations once more. However, resources are starting to run short for the time being due to other construction projects. And for now, we only have the resources to complete one project. Let's focus on Hopeville. Hopeville Missile Base. Also, technically speaking, we definitely do have the resources. It's just, like, I'm just going to focus on that in the background. Hopeville Missile Base was the Army component of the Commonwealth Ballistic Defense Complex and was tasked with maintaining the missiles and ensuring the base remained in ready state in the tectonic unstable region of the Divide. Much of the base has been looted or scrapped, largely from the two communities that sprung up around the base in the intervening years. Thankfully, they didn't activate the nuclear warheads in the base because that might have caused some problems. Yeah, that feels like the understatement of the year. We don't know exactly what our predecessors were thinking when they built a missile base near the San Andreas Fault. However, records show the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers installed a series of seismic sensors around the base. If they tripped, then the base would lock down to ensure that no missile was damaged. Apparently, this backfired, as the sensors couldn't differentiate between the nukes hitting California and Nevada and an earthquake. Thus, the base went into lockdown and never launched their deadly payload. We're sure China was very thankful. Regardless, the nuclear bombs had ironically enough stabilized the region. though that doesn't mean we won't be restoring the seismic monitors just in case. Curiously, we've noticed that there seems to be some residual seismic activity coming from below. It might just be old systems. We'll keep you informed. Good to see it back in order. I remember at one point a South American nation, or not South American, a Mexican nation. I could have sworn they got nukes. I mean, I don't remember what episode it was, but I'm fairly certain there was an event for that. I just can't remember. Okay. Toxic waste sites. Way to go. One day. Hold on. What's it with all my people getting sick? I don't understand. Did I swallow a nation without meaning to? I don't think so. Problem is, I don't know. Send couriers to Circle Junction. Wonderful. I can get that done. I just want to click the button like 3 times and just be like boom, 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 boom. It just like swallows the entire rest of the what's it called? The tribal wasteland. Director Cullis has announced that 3 toxic waste sites have been cleared, and while another 15 are proceeding on schedule. We are still getting reports of missing supplies and strange noises in the night, and while it is attributed to Mirelurks, the increased air patrols have been hitting them and their nests. Worst was an incident where a Deathclaw was encountered by a convoy that damaged a truck, resulting in a waste spill that ironically killed the Deathclaw due to the high radiation. The area was secured, and during removal of the Deathclaw, it was noted it bore slashes and scars reminiscent of tribal weapons. Either way, that entire patch of roadway had to be excavated and repaired, but operations are proceeding roughly on the new schedule. Cullis is hoping to shift focus away from the sites and more towards the mines here in the future. It's expected that the Deathclaws might be living in them, and he's going to require power armor support and heavy ordnance to take them out. He has put the requisition order through the appropriate channels, and it's expected to take some time before the army gets around to it, and he's hoping that a push from the president will get it done faster. We'll sort it out. I do remember what happens with the Hopeville thing, though. Unfortunately, I do remember that, and I do remember we have a... Hey, virtual reality training, that's good. A whole bunch of things just completed, all at the same time. Radar guidance systems. What is that noise? I think it's a movie my roommates are watching. Whatever. Doesn't matter. And clean. We could probably rebuild the entire infrastructure from Mexico if we wanted to, but I just don't care to at this point. It's interesting. Well, they're an Enclave protectorate, so it doesn't really matter. AS Army Corps, Research Agreement, Stabilized Government. Laws of the Apocalypse rejected. Oh, they actually managed to do that. That's awesome. Vice City. Federalization. What is this? Ooh, this is an interesting thing. Shattered State. Everything's on fire, which grants recruitable population of -3, recruitable population factor of -65, stability of -50, more support of -40. Old world patriotism. Okay. That somewhat helps. Firebrand suppression. So I assume that does something else, but... Allied States membership. Replacing restoring order with on a powdered keg. Help from the United States. United States specialists. Okay. United States politicians. Okay. Saving the human race. Refined mixture. That's interesting. Conservation Corps. United States investments. United States officers. Okay. The federal income tax. Alright. Stabilizing the government. That helps a little bit. Rebuilding the core. Okay. Research agreement. That seems fair enough. Power armor manuals. Gotcha. AER schematics. Federalization. Replace stabilized government with federal state. Retaking the capital. Modify federal state. The governor's speech. Okay. The state of Republic of Mexico. Ooh. That's pretty good. Doesn't really matter though. We own all of this. There's no stopping us. No one is getting away. Ah, the Ashton Air Force Base, and we've somehow lost an agent. I don't know how. And no, we're going the wrong way. No. Hopeville and Ashton secured. That's odd. Then until then, we're destroying the big mountain, I guess. Ashton Air Force Base was the Air Force component of the Commonwealth Ballistic Defense Complex. Oh my goodness, how many more times do I have to read that kind of statement? It's giving me a migraine. Ugh. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Tasked with providing targeting and launch data for the missiles in the base, as well as maintaining the base of in what is technically an unstable region. The base remains in better shape than the Army side, largely due to the more technical side of Air Force operations having greater security. Thankfully, no one managed to activate the launch sequence, as that might have caused some problems. The strange underground readings have only gotten worse with the more sensors we activate. One or two malfunctioning is one thing, and some misreadings are to be expected of age, but every last one of them? We even installed new ones, and they're reading the same thing. There is something down there, and it's not more rats. Something burrowing underground beneath what is our sole nuclear missile base in the region presents a huge security concern. There appears to be a place where these burrowers are closer to the surface than the rest, and it might benefit us if we dig down there and find out what exactly is down there. Engineers have pulled some excavation equipment, but are awaiting orders from higher. Find out what's going on down there. Alright, screw it. I'm just going to start randomly clicking. We're going to rebuild the infrastructure of so many places. It's not like we're not going to take most of this stuff anyway. Do I restore Canada? That's a question I keep asking myself, but I don't know. Like, I could. It wouldn't necessarily be difficult. But at the same time, do I want to restore Canada is the question that I'm asking myself. Doesn't really matter either way, though. Once this one is finally done, I can do something. Another 7 sites cleared! Hey! The Canyon project is going well. The Grand Canyon project team has managed to clear another 7 sites, bringing the number up to 10 total cleared. A further 26 remain across the Grand Canyon, and they are increasingly hard to reach positions. The EPA is having to airlift equipment as the routes are so bad, it's a wonder Poseidon even managed to get the material there in the first place. The EPA did manage, however, to discover the old Poseidon office complex that managed the area, and exactly what we expected. Corners were cut left and right, and the roads were designed to be one-time use, with any inspector given instead of a flyover and a facade showing that there were properly handling the material, though we aren't exactly clear of blame. It seems the regional EPA director for the area was siphoning funds toward a special federal project, with money she was supposed to be using for investigations after state and Commonwealth complaints. Calls dug a bit deeper, and that special federal project, it was the Enclave. Well, no time like the present to make amends, and Collis is hoping to do the job right this time. And the mines, we'll get back to you on that. I love some of the names of some of these events that they give. It's funny. Naval Doctrine, not a whole bunch to do with that. Air Doctrine. Can't really do anything given we don't have the stuff. Rocket Ready. We completed work on the latest model of the Delta 10, as well as trained the crew necessary to pilot it. The ship is ready at Bloomfield, and the USSA director is standing by for the presidential order to begin loading procedures and countdown to launch. Alright, let's do this. Rocket Ready. It's a massacre. What? Wait, what? The engineering team broke into a series of tunnels before they were attacked by dozens of reptilian mutants that slaughtered them wholesale. Base security responded before they themselves were overrun, as hundreds of the things flooded out of the tunnel we had dug. We would have seen a loss of everyone at the base had they not retreated upon reaching the sunlight. It seems they have an aversion to bright light. The bases have been evacuated with response and emergency units moving in. We're still getting readings from the seismic sensors, and it's indicating a lot more movement underneath than before. It appears we've struck a mutant hornet's nest. Due to the nature of the nuclear weapons stored at the base, heavy ordnance is ruled out, meaning the only way to get rid of these things is the hard way. Given that they easily wiped out a squad of power-armored infantry, it's not going to be so easy to remove them this time. So we lose 31 men. Either we'll burn them out, or we have our own mutants for this. We have our own mutants for this. And there's the divide. It gets released as its own nation temporarily. Pretty much what happens is we don't control it anymore. We gotta go through the events as far as I understand. Which I don't understand necessarily all that well, but I understand some. Good thing we have something to do with the amount of infrastructure we got. Texas, at least a little bit. A grand highway, I'd say. Like we really need any more resources. You'll be done soon, I hope. They join our spear. Disaster in the Divide. And then we also got advanced power armor stuff. Advanced power systems, that's what it is. Gotcha. Let's see. Disaster in the Divide. The situation at the base has only gotten worse. The things emerge at night, and vertibird flights and the security perimeter have barely been able to contain them. What's more, they can easily tunnel through the ground, and our soldiers have given over to calling them tunnelers. During the daylight hours, we're able to send in automated units to scout, but even the mighty sentry bot is taken down by just a handful of these things. Thankfully, they can't fly, and our vertibirds have been providing overwatch, and more are on their way. As of now, the situation is stable. What was not stable was the military staff when Granite put forth his plan to have the Slanter take control of the situation. It wasn't that any of the general staff were prejudiced against the Slanter, it was that the Divide mutants were known to take down a sentry bot with numbers and ease. Even the Slanter called in were a little hesitant after reading the reports. Yet, as the meeting drew on, more and more commanders came over to the President's side. The Slanter were well adapted to fighting in enclosed environments, and their heightened senses would be of an advantage underground. With further push, thanks to Grant's ruthless charisma, the decision was made. All that was left was to gather the strike force. Prepare to face the might of the American military. Last thing anyone expected. Yeah, that's concerning. I could technically switch, I think, every single one of my last American armies over. If I wanted to at this point. I really could. I just don't care enough to. I will, however,
this is Enclave main com.
Delete your front line here.
Enclave here.
Army, and move you to here. Why not? Painted Rock. We have the option to take you, right? Do we have the option to take them? Painted Rock. No, we do not. That's odd. We have a land bridge, so I'm not... Restoring the Big Mountain. Awesome. On it. Awesome. Honestly, the biggest problem is just right here. But otherwise, not really much of anything. This is not what I wanted to click. Manage subjects. We can lower the autonomy of a subject. Who? Republic of Canada? Huh. I mean, technically, yes. If we wanted to. I just don't care to because we can annex them anyway. With just a decision. Masters of the Wasteland. Screw it. Just in case. You should get that perfectly fine. Montana Enclave. MacArthur Air Force Base in the pre-war era served alongside Mountain Home as the fighter net meant to shield the United States from Chinese airstrikes against the lower 48, with a secondary mission of operating against the communist Canadian terrorists that resisted American liberation. Of course, its story post-war is just as important, with Colonel, now General, Santiago restoring the base to working order and ensuring the continuation of the American dream in the Northern Commonwealth and providing assistance to Chicago. Now, back in America's ready hands, the base is ready to return to operations against those who would threaten America. Damn fine job, Santiago. Gives a boost to Air Force air mission efficiency and air generation. Yeah, again, you guys can read this if you want to. I'm not. Sure, you guys can work on, I guess, anti-fucking... whatever it's called. Working against the enemy to make sure they can't figure out anything, okay? Let's get mongrels. Let's get dogs. The last thing anyone expected. Rel Ozen has had reservations striking up an alliance with the Enclave, but they have been true to their word, and even treated them as equals, at least in law. It was impossible for every human to see them as anything but mutated raccoons. However, they had done well to the Slanter, and even cured his illness, allowing him to continue living and leading his people. When representatives from the army arrived requesting assistance with a crisis further south, the old Slanter was confused. He had heard stories from the Slanter Scout Corps. The Enclave army was one of the most powerful in the world, having tamed all of Nevada and swept aside the NCR like it was nothing. I want to point out that it was not nothing, it was actually rather difficult, but if it wasn't for the fact that they were also at war with big ol' Legion, it would have been a lot worse. If they had come to him now, it must have been dire. The old Slanter explained, along with his Scout Corps veterans, listened as the army officers explained the situation in the Divide. Right now, America needs its smallest members. That seems contradictory, but okay. What are we producing that we don't need? Self-propelled howitzers? Wait, what? That's odd. Hold on. Masters of the Wasteland, that's nice. Scribes, no. Recon, no. Mechanized artillery, support, no. Where are the howitzers? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I guess they're just gone. I guess for some reason the howitzer has been removed temporarily at some point. I'm not certain why. I'm not certain how. I just know it happened. Okay though. What they were asking was a tall order, even for FEV mutants. These taller creatures seemed fierce. For his part, Rel Osen was invited to New Reno to personally meet with President Granite, the first time since the two signed the Unification Treaty. Granite welcomed the old Slanter warmly, giving the Slanter every report he personally had received, and the old Slanter looked over it with some concern. These things, they were basically animals, and in past could take down Deathclaws with ease. A monster of Slanter legend was nothing but an afternoon hunt for the things. He also read the casualty reports that sat back in his chair. Rel Osen cast his eyes over to the U.S. flag that Grant had in the corner. Several of his own kin had been killed in operations in the past few years, some fighting side by side with the humans who had brought them in. Rel Osen thought back to the day they had arrived at the burrows and extended a welcoming hand. He also remembered when the first unit of the Scout Corps were sent to war and the glowing praise that was delivered to him from their actions. Steeling his resolve, he would help the country that had brought him in and welcomed him to their nation. Standing on his chair, mostly to the eye level with Granite, Rel Osen agreed that the Slanter Scout Corps would do everything in their power to assist in defeating this crisis. I knew I made the right decision accepting you guys. Well, of course. Wasteland, Masters of the Wasteland, cool. 2072, we formally annexed Canada. However, that lasted all 5 years before the Great War, and maybe we should focus some efforts there as well. We did it with Mexico, and we didn't own them. Not technically. I'm just gonna not touch that, actually. I'm just gonna just forget about that part right there. Slanter reaches the divide. Awesome. Aerial refueling, not gonna be useful. The first Slanter arrived at the perimeter within hours. Delivered by vertibird, their small size allowed several dozen to be delivered in just a single bird. While some were raw recruits, the vast bulk of them were veterans of the Enclave's wars and raider pacification campaigns. Receiving their briefing, the mutated raccoons got to work making their way towards the base. At the same time, the ground commander, accepting but skeptical of the Slanter, had been working setting up a series of modified armored vehicles with floodlights to try and reach the breach. The Slanter major thanked the ground commander before sending off the rest of his troops. I trust them. They'll get the job done. Of course they will. So we should have the modifier Manifest Destiny, I think. American Brotherhood, no. Greater Nevada Test Site, no. Pre-war installations, no. Hold on. Rocket ready. Where is it? I should have it. Should be in here. I know it should be. Where is Manifest Destiny? I guess we do not, in fact, have Manifest Destiny. Deathclaw hunting, airborne style. The army has finally delivered the heavy ordnance and power armor, and the troops as well to operate the equipment. Along with the air support provided by the EPA vertibirds, each were deployed to several identified promontories and the uranium mines to handle the Deathclaws there. Things got pretty close at the identified promontories, where the artillery came in on top, ripping even Alpha Deathclaws in half and bombarding the nests from far away, allowing power-armored troops to move in and take out the survivors with the anti-tank weapons. Interestingly, while there were signs of half-eaten remains in and around the uranium mines, including several bodies identified as humans, no Deathclaws were reported. One team entered a cave a short distance and reported noises, but were not equipped for cave combat with their heavy weapons. Those caves were marked as not cleared, and Director Cullis will deal with them when he gets there, and EPA members working in the canyon are expected to be on alert for the time being. Concerning, but good to hear. Now, work can resume. Awesome. If I go to Factions map mode, there should be nothing else but me. Nope. The Great Confederation still exists. Midnight Union. Whatever the hell Safe Haven is doing, I guess. Broken Coast, New Victoria. United Wallers of Nebraska, Order of St. Joseph. Great Plains Federation. That might be why we can't get these guys into the faction, or send out couriers to them. Because of the fact that they're in a faction. Mutant versus mutant. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I think we're gonna... I don't know, actually. We could keep Canada. It really would not be that hard. It wouldn't even take a second to decide to take Canada. It would just be over. But at the same time, I could free them. I could decide, alright, screw it, we'll free the Canadians. But I just don't know. I don't know what to do. I do know I'm going to have to go to war with these nations, which actually might give me something else to do besides monitoring things. Ugh. Sheesh. It's death. It really has. I think that'll be enough infrastructure to be completed. It should be fine. Alright, the Slanter have made contact with the tunnelers. At first, the mutated humanoids didn't know what to make of the furry FEV raccoons. They observed the little fuzzy creatures with confusion before the Slanter struck. Operating in small unit tactics, the Slanter took down several within the base before the tunnelers finally recognized them as a threat. While the Slanter took some casualties, a mix of their honed military tactics and old hunting tricks kept them relatively light. What's more, the tunnelers weren't even safe when they tried to dig underground, with the burrowing Slanter following them into their holes and striking them on their own turf. Seismic sensors are picking up what can only be described as small localized explosions, likely the Slanter using grenades and other explosives to try and root these things out. Tenacious little beasts, aren't they? Yeah, we can annex Canada, but I want this to be completed first, which shouldn't take too long necessarily. Something happened. During our resupply, reinforce, and evacuation run, one of our pilots noticed that the Slanter had captured several of the larger brutes, and were apparently trying to ride the thing like a wild Brahmin at a rodeo. When asked for a reason for this insubordination, the Slanter major calmly replied that his troops were taking some initiative in tactics, and applying the U.S. Army's spirit of innovation. He explained that the tunnelers are no different than any other mutated hordes they had encountered in the past, and if they can be tamed, they can be used. He pointed to how the Slanter had tamed giant mole rats in the past as beasts of burden, and these tunnelers were just scaly humanoid versions of them. If they could tame at least a few, they might be able to create a sort of cavalry corps and handle the rest. The ground commander has reported that the plan was crazy, but crazy enough it just might work. What? We have war goals against everyone, I think. It shouldn't be too hard. We can easily crush pretty much everyone. Our Northern Dominion. What is the plan? Is there... The question of Canada. Ah, here it is. It says death clause. Many see Canada as much as the United States as death clause and apple pie. Others argue that they were legally and illegally annexed by a war-hungry American regime. The debate is raging heavily in Congress. Also, no one in America has had apple pie in over 200 years. I want me some apple pie now. I definitely want me some apple pie now. Alright, we're gonna work on opening more things, I guess. Sure, let's do this one. Why not? Repair the next turbine, because, again, why not? EPA reports people missing. Oh, goody. That's just fantastic. The Commonwealth Project. Ooh, we can get some more stuff done. The head of the Grand Canyon Project is reporting that a few members of site teams in the interior of the canyon are going missing. Most disappeared during scouting trips, which added to increased patrols and overflights. However, one team was reporting that one of their members was stolen out of their tent in the middle of the night. They were woken to gunshots and screams, but by the time the rest were alerted, it was too late. There were signs of a struggle just outside the camp, as well as spent bullet casings, and a trail was discovered leading to one of the uranium mines. This nature isn't like Deathclaws or even Mirelurks. Collis is using his position to request more troops, as those in the canyon are refusing to work unless a proper guard is established. A few of the remote teams are being evacuated by Vertibird to base camps. Give them their manpower. Ooh, train mongrels. Cool. Never a dull moment in the Divide. No, I don't imagine so. I assume it's probably a little hectic at this point. Let's get some dynamite too, why not? The perimeter guards around the base were given over to quite a sight this morning. The Slanter party we sent into the Divide came out riding several of the tunnelers with crude riding gear and blinders fashioned around the tunnelers' eyes. They were lined up in formation with the major at the front, holding a small guidon that the group had fashioned. Guidon? I don't know. Suffice to say, their human comrades loved the sight, as did the ground commander, who was not shy in singing the praise of the Slanter. In short, the crazy little mutants' plan worked, and they even performed a mock cavalry charge to show they know what they are doing. The press apparently picked up on this, and support for the Slanter cavalry corps is growing among the populace. Rel Osen has sent his best, well, sent all of his species beast tamers to the base, and they are expected to arrive by Vertibird within the hour. It's too early. Where's my coffee? How rude. Ride of the Slanter. With reinforced... I'll get to that in a minute. With reinforcements, the Slanter plan is simple. A dedicated thrust towards the breach site and down into the depths of the tunneler's hive. From there, the Slanter will capture as many of the tunnelers as possible. From their beast tamers will get to work breaking these monsters in. Resistance is expected, and the tunnelers the Slanter have broken in have been armored up and given additional blinders to hide the fact that they are assaulting their own. Their noses have also been plugged to prevent from smelling if these things give off pheromones. At dawn, the Slanter cavalry rode off toward the base, as regular soldiers looked on and cheered. Vertibird gunships covered them overhead as the Slanter charged Guidon out into the base. Transports carrying the beast tamers followed close behind, ready to deploy at the breach site. First, resistance was met at halfway between the gate and the breach, and the Slanter's new beasts of burden proved instrumental in defeating their former species. Blind to insight and smell, when they were attacked by their former kin, they flew into a rage, slaughtering their unarmored, undomesticated selves. Their Slanter riders assisted where they could and made rapid progress towards the breach. Arriving at the breach in a flying V formation, the Slanter dove into the breach, beast tamers and an additional company of Slanter scouts deployed and ready to assist. However, everything rests on the Major and his troops, as once they're underground, will be unable to support. Godspeed, Slanter. I'm gonna pause the recording for like 2 minutes so I can get a drink of water because my throat is killing me. And I am back. Wasn't really a whole bunch of time for you guys. It's only like 2 seconds. But hey, here we are. The army has established a series of fortified combat outposts across the Grand Canyon. Auto turrets, searchlights, and roving patrols, along with redundant communication systems, ensuring that they remain in contact with the Grand Canyon Task Force set up at the EPA main base camp. Vertibird patrols are also being stepped up around the clock to monitor for movement, but so far we haven't seen eye or ear of Deathclaws or Mirelurks. Further downstream, we found evidence of Mirelurk nests that seem to be recently disturbed, but nothing else, and no signs of Deathclaw habitation outside the promontories that were deemed not a threat to the EPA in the area. Regardless, the army is setting up automated listening posts and eyebot patrols near the uranium mines, as that's where this seems to be coming from. If a mole rat farts in this canyon, we'll know. Good. Well, not about the mole rat thing, but the information is very important. I'm noticing our troops are being sent up north. Hold on. Calm down, everyone. You guys can read that if you want. Again, read that if you want. And this. And this. We're going to cut our losses. Not that it really matters much. Reports of movement. During a night flight, one of our vertibirds managed to spot several shapes moving along the riverbed. The pilot moved lower to investigate, and the gunner reported seeing strange humanoids down there. He fired a few warning shots before the vertibird was pelted with spears, and the vertibird was forced to gain altitude as none of them were wearing combat or power armor. The humanoids dispersed, but the vertibird trailed them until they disappeared into the Poseidon EZ mine complex. Additional vertibirds were called in to assist, but the creatures went into hiding. It seemed, and nothing else was found. All in all, that doesn't ease fears at all, but something else in the canyon with the EPA. Increase patrols. Nothing will get by us. I'm kind of confused where the heck all our people are going, I'm gonna be honest. Cause like Fortress Protocol, not. Cause like I'm seeing divisions going north, but I'm not certain where north. Oh, the dredgers. They're arming on the dredger line against the Broken Coast. Gotcha. Let's see here. The question of Canada. With aid and assistance going to Mexico, there has been a cascade of voices rising from the cold, bitter north. Our Canadian veteran, or in some other circles, Canadian? I don't know what that's supposed to stand for. Often suffered through harsh, bitter winters, raider attacks, and the indignity of lacking such things as freedom. As our caravans ventured north for better trade and income, they returned worse for wear with stories of mutated horrors, raiders, ghosts, or they just never return at all. There are still some holdouts of civilization, be they large settlements or tribal hovels. The costs of sending U.S. soldiers to pacify the North proved a strain on our nation when we were at our height before the Great War. A repeat of this affair could break everything we've ever strived for. Several influential members put forth a proclamation of independence for Canada, turning the lands over to a rightful steward who could guide Canada and its people through the harsh winters, as well as maintain the standing security forces needed so we don't have to waste time. Of course, several hardliners are pointing out that Canada is sovereign American land and that we annexed in 2072, and this would be ceding territory to a land we rightfully own. So, we either A, go to New Victoria, whom we have a war goal on, who does not particularly like us, or B, we decide that the June 3rd, 2072 declaration stands. D20 time. As so many things have come down to, it's time for a D20 roll of the dice. Let me decide. I guess above 10 is let Canada stay, below 10 is, what's the word I'm looking for? Is annex them. Wait, what? Hold on. Above 10 is get Canada back. Below 10 is keep Canada. Rolling the dice. Okay. Get me an audience with Queen Victoria, what is that, the 6th? 6th. Ah, well. Quickly, before they can change their minds. Actually, I really don't know how long that's gonna take. Yeah, I have 36 days for this. I think we can hold the event for a little while, if we really need to. Commonwealth Project. Awesome. Radioactive materially confirmed. Okay. We're going to the business of California. We're going to work on California first. Director Cullis has managed to push for his teams to return to the canyon, if nothing more than to assess the remaining toxic waste dumps in the area. They are to be inserted by air alongside several armed soldiers. Their job is simply to assess the state of the toxic waste dumps and report back if it's necessary to begin contaminant operations. Each team is to have 12-hour radio contact and have signal flares that will get a rapid response force deployed to the area immediately. Should a team fail to contact within the 12-hour time limit, the QRF is also to be deployed. The Army is also drawing up plans to deal with whatever threat is in those caves, as it's all emanating from those caves. Director Collis himself is lamenting the fact that even this is turning into another horror show for him to have to deal with. Sorry, Collis. The Commonwealth Project. That's good. We'll make it canon no matter what Bethesda says. I haven't even read the rest of it, but I'm already pleased. The President today announced to a joint session of Congress that the old Commonwealth system is to be reintroduced and reintegrated into American society, followed by a rapid reassurance that no one in Congress was losing their job. That's fair. The new Commonwealth system will be based and built upon the pre-war system with some minor changes to territory as well as pragmatic adjustments to fit with the post-war times. This, however, will change nothing with the executive branch, aside swearing in governors of the aforementioned Commonwealths. Rebuilding America one Commonwealth at a time. We'll make it canon no matter what Bethesda says. Thank you, DeviantArt, for this picture. I don't know who on DeviantArt, but the author of the mod said so. Our intelligence crew deployed to the structure's control room thankfully managed to power on the old pre-war computers with the help of some portable fusion device. Right, this is something else. Forgot about that. Ignore it. I said infrastructure. Oh, yeah, we did select infrastructure. Look at that. Nothing to report. We hope they're okay. Slanters, you don't you die on me. To think we're gonna have a monarchy to our north. Worrying, but is what it is. The dice decided. They decided that Canada would not remain as U.S. territory. Ah well. And while I'm down here, sure, let's put up Honduras. I think the Panama's probably gone by now, if I had to take a guess. I don't think it was maintained enough for it to have survived. I guess that's a demilitarized zone. That's odd. I don't remember ordering that to be demilitarized, but okay. It's been several days and no word from the Slanter underground. Our seismic monitors are picking up activity, so we know they're alive down there. However, what's more interesting is the reaction of the rest of the country to the Little Mutants' actions in the Divide. The Slanter, while protected under treaty as equals in the United States, that doesn't mean the common citizens see them as equals. Many critics have questioned the purpose and effectiveness of the Slanter's scout corps, with more hardline views lamenting the arming of non-human mutants. The images of the tiny Slanter fighting the tunnelers valiantly, as well as the cavalry charge against Hopeville, silenced them and invigorated a wave of public support for the little creatures. Pictures of the charge are front page of every paper, and the Burrows itself is in a patriotic uproar at the sight of their scouts' display of gallantry. Grant himself traveled to the Burrows and met again with Rel Osen, personally thanking him for his species' contribution to the military, the nation, and the United States people as a whole, of whom they stand as equals nor more than ever. Yet, for all the fanfare, little word has come from the breach, and it is unknown if the Slanters are scattered and being slaughtered or advancing deeper into the hive. I'm sure they're doing fine. I hope. But yeah, I'm very happy that we definitely know that places like Louisiana or like Florida are getting worked on. Magic Kingdom. I think we probably can take a guess on on what large corporation that starts with a D that's supposed to stand for. Oh, and they're also making their way into Missouri and Chicago. Got more spaces here. Awesome. I love to see it. Love to see it. The Forbidden Zone. Interesting. Ooh, looks like they're moving into here too. Sorry, I'm really interested in the increase of stuff that's happening. Oh, we got the ciphers.
Enclave
Okay.
here.
Where to send you now? You're occupied. Circle Junction's unoccupied, I guess, but we're working on them eventually. You're dealt with. I guess you guys can move to here, I suppose. Anyway, unpause the game. Let's get through this as far as we can. I might do one more video. But otherwise, I don't know. Aerial refueling is done. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Approaching the Queen. Okay, this is interesting. Honestly, for the most part, I've always decided to just keep the I've always like every game I think ever that I've played with the U.S. Enclave, I've always kept the Canadian territory. So this is a little new. The city of New Victoria had come a long way since its collapse at the head of the Great War. Many buildings that were damaged beyond repair were demolished and rebuilt through the assistance of the royal family. Its skies were often peaceful, and its cold nights glowed yellow with the warmth of fires in the homes and buildings. Let allow the grandeur of the royal palace. Even the dangers of Graven and his broken coast did little to damage the city, with Graven wanting to maintain it for his future use. Tonight was shaping up to be another quiet night when the peace was shattered by the roar of vertebrates and the thunder of jet engines. Many looked out their windows to see a trio of vertebrates escorted by American fighter jets make way for the royal palace. Within the palace, the Queen's guard stood by uneasy as President Granite and his escort walked past and into the court of Queen Victoria VI. I wonder... Interesting. After exchanging titles and greetings, the Queen and the President got on with what the meeting was really for, the reconstruction of Canada. The President offered the Queen assistance in reclaiming territory as well as technical knowledge and the technological might of the United States. In exchange, the Queen would agree to administer the lands of Canada as she saw fit, stretching from here to Nova Scotia in time. For the Queen, though, it sounded like she was becoming a puppet of the United States, and she knew of the ancient American ways. America knows nothing of diplomacy. History has shown that. How do I know you won't march in with an army if I refuse this, or if I step out of line? I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in diplomacy. Which is true. Technically speaking, I could have just decided to take them and invade, but alright, we're going to go to the Slanter real quick. We've received word from Slanter from the base. 2 messengers rode up to the perimeter this morning requesting additional reinforcements, supplies, as well as radios to communicate with the surface. The lead messenger, a Slanter lieutenant, reported that the tunnels beneath are large and expansive, and the Slanter are operating in unknown territory and don't know how large the tunnels are. They have established a base camp in one of the larger tunnels, as well as a basic aid station, but their supplies are running short. The Grand Commander sent the request up the chain, and supplies are on the way. Additionally, an entire battalion has been dispatched from the burrows, many of whom being veterans of scouts across the army. At the very least, we know our mutant troops are advancing underneath, which is a welcome word to what has become a national spectacle. Ha! We knew they'd be fine. Alright, the Queen sat back hearing the President's response. 200 years ago, we were friends, allies, yet when Canada didn't do what America wanted, our nation was destroyed, and those who resisted were executed in the streets. I would not be the vehicle in which America repeats those atrocities twice. The President remained calm, no doubt aware of the atrocities committed by the Enclave, let alone the massive genocide that would have come under Richardson Sr. Nodding towards the Queen, the President made no qualms of the blood on his hands, nor a desire to see those atrocities repeated, let alone that the Queen herself to be the instrument of that. The President could promise that he would enact no such actions himself, but could not promise future leaders. However, the shrewd Granite was quick to point out the short reign of Victoria's great-great-grandfather, which nearly saw New Victoria devolve into raiding and piracy akin to the Broken Coast, and why New Victorian monarchs were all female since then as a result. Granite wanted to right the wrongs of the past and make something better with it. It's not much, but it's honest work. The Queen of the North. The President continued his case to the Queen. The shame that stained the American flag. The United States had committed atrocities with no recourse, and that culminated in the destruction of the world in the Great War. There was no excuse or recourse that could undo what America had done. The strife and chaos of 200 years, the result of unchecked American aggression, with a healthy helping from the Chinese, of course, but the Chinese weren't here now, were they? But granted, the American president was. Nothing would make up for the past, but he could ensure that all Canadians who wished it would see a better tomorrow. It would be the Canadians who wished it would see a better tomorrow. It would be the Queen who led them. I think I accidentally repeated a line. Queen Victoria VI could be so much more than the Queen of an island in the North Pacific, more than her royal lineage. Or she could sit on her island palace and watch the world move on without her, and the President would find someone else to do it. Perhaps old Pete from the Dredgers. That got the exact reaction the President wanted out of the Queen. Your choice, Your Highness. The Canadian Proclamation. It looks like everything's moving well. I wish we had theorists. That would make my life so much easier, but we don't. Site team not reporting in. One of the EPA site teams isn't reporting in during the roll call. Hopefully it's just a faulty radio. Calm down, Commonwealth Project. I got it. Faulty radio or something, as no one was reporting distress flares last night. Gets a vent, it was mutants. Oh lord, what is that? I don't want to look at it. Hold on a second. The QRF got to the site team's last known location to find them hunkered in an old shed near the wayside. Several of the soldiers were dead on the ground. However, that wasn't the biggest thing. Around the site were dozens of strange brown humanoid creatures that were attacking the shed and trying to get in. The arrival of reverbers and their fire support drove them off, but not before several more were gunned down by the miniguns on board. The survivors were evacuated, but the site team lead said that 2 of his team were dragged away by the mutants towards the caves. We have to count them as dead, as there's no way we can dispatch a team fast enough with what little information we have on them and their caves. Director Collis has ordered an evacuation of all teams in the canyon until the mutants of those mines are removed. Of course, the army has drawn up a few plans. That is terrifying. I don't want to look at it. You're going to be saved for later. The Gunrunners. The Gunrunners is a weapon merchant and manufacturer faction operating out of the fortress in the Boneyard. By today, it branches in many areas, including one near a strip in the Mojave Wasteland. The Gunrunners supplies only runners supplies only the finest hardware to the most discerning of customers, which used to include the NCR. Most gun runner workshops are set up in areas that recently came under our control. Unsure of the new regime's view of their business, they have ceased production temporarily. Many are making plans to leave and will do so unless we make our opinion of them clear. Just let them continue. Honestly, I don't really care. The president today inaugurated the Southwest Commonwealth, made up of the Nevada territories, the Mojave Wasteland, and the former NCR. The event was held within the halls of Shady Sands, which has been designated as the Commonwealth's new capital due to the facilities already present in the post-war city. This is considered a major win for the President's Commonwealth program, as many former NCR citizens and the residents of the Nevada territories were keen on keeping their lands separate. There was also a push by former California barons to ensure that the president's Commonwealth plan fell through, citing business interests in keeping California California. A public advocacy campaign was launched, but due to the security situation in California, this campaign never went anywhere. The president assured that nothing will really change under the Commonwealth aside from the continual distribution of goods and services, and the better coordination of police and security organizations within the Commonwealth to combat raiders or mutated monsters. A new day, America. And that is the first. That's the first one done. Do I want to turn this into a 2-hour episode? Let me just click through all of those events. I don't know. I'll continue as I go, I guess. I still understand what happened to the, what is it called? Not the howitzers. I don't know why howitzer things were removed. Seismic activity has slowed in the past few days. The Slanter have been giving status updates stating that they have traversed dozens of miles underneath the base, mapping out an extensive network of tunnels and nests. A recent development from one of the scout teams claims they have stumbled onto a large nest, complete with one of the largest tunnelers they have ever seen. The captain in charge of the platoon was forced to retreat given the resistance in numbers and has given a description of its size. We agree with their assessment that this thing is the Queen, though we don't know if it's the only one or one of many. The Major has reported that they are preparing to storm this nest along with the best beast tamers, with the plan to capture this thing alive. The operation is set to commence in the evening. Wait, how large? The Canadian Proclamation. Here it is. Looks like we got 2 things of our research done too. Trained dogs. We're going to go for flamers. Today, the citizens of New Victoria were announced to a speech held jointly by Queen Victoria and President Grant of the United States. The United States is giving over all Canadian territory to the Queen and her Dominion as parts of a greater series of programs for the restoration of what the President said were the Americans' northern neighbor. The President spoke on how this won't wipe away the suffering and destruction from the Great War, which the Queen confirmed, but that it was a start to normalizing relations between the two. Starting today, all Canadian holdings administered by the United States will be handed over to Victorian officials as part of a reconstruction process mirrored on the United States' own Reconstruction Authority. Let's end 200 years of violence and bloodshed. Does this actually hand over all the territory, or no? No, it does not. Yeah, you guys can read this. I'm just going to click the options I like best. Sins of our past. Mariposa becomes a victory point in the Northern Diablo Range against event Mutant Mecha. Okay. San Francisco Mint. Okay. Navarro Memorial. They may be gone, but they will never be forgotten. We got a whole bunch of stability. Helios 2. Bakersfield or Necropolis, pick one. Call it Bakersfield. Coercive negotiation. What the hell? We're all Americans now. Storing Sacramento. Yeah, I probably should have read through like some of those in hindsight. You know, hindsight being 2020, of course. But no, I'm just going to ignore that. We're also going to launch the rocket too. We'll see what happens. I guess. Why not? We could probably click. I could probably click all of these now and get it done with. But what the hell was that? What? President Grant, what you're seeing are two images. That's an interesting noise. Are two images captured by a camera that one of our astronauts smuggled aboard the latest space mission, and what we can only describe as a species of giant extraterrestrial giant squid attacked our ship, causing some structural damage that was thankfully repaired in short order. Despite the high levels of radiation, no sunlight, and next to no source of food, this squid was strong enough to damage the engine cowling, as well as nearly tear the viewport off the front of the ship. Our astronauts, Bill and Bob, are utterly terrified at the prospects of being left alone in space, but Mission Commander Jebediah, as well as Engineer Valentina, are conversely excited and are requesting to go on a squid hunt. What? A squid hunt? No! That is interesting. I don't think I've seen that one before. I've done the space mission a decent amount of times, too, which is interesting to me. I guess this is about as good as I'm gonna get. Hold on. Should all trigger at the same time. Find a negotiator. Mutant Mecha. Alright, I'm going to actually read this one because this seems important. Scraping together a mix of army volunteers, mercenaries, caravan guards, and local militia, we've surrounded the super mutant hovel at Mariposa. They've barricaded themselves in, and some of the less intelligent ones have taken pot shots at us. And we're on alert for night cannon operating at night. The intelligent super mutants are willing to negotiate, claiming that they just want an honest, peaceful town where super mutants can live free of persecution or oppression. Find a negotiator. Everything's bigger in Texas. We're gonna get the Texan Commonwealth back. Alright. Calm down. We're gonna rebuild the Four States Commonwealth. Military Assistance Command Canada. In a joint ceremony with members of the Royal Court of Queen Victoria VI and delegates from the United States, the President and Queen unveiled the creation of the United States Military Assistance Command Canada, or MACC. The purpose of this new command is to train and equip the Victorian Dominion of Canada military for combat and stability operations extending further east. While the trainees will be of Canadian descent, much of the equipment will be provided by the United States and its well-developed military-industrial complex. The President urged all loyal Canadians to join for Queen and Dominion. The Queen herself promised a substantial healthcare package as well as a plot of frontier land upon reaching mandatory retirement age. The event ended with each nation's respective military bands playing each other's national anthem, followed by a court dinner at the Royal Palace in New Victoria. We'd have done this for Mexico if they asked. Texan Commonwealth, okay. This morning, our troops were greeted by the Victoria Slanter riding out of the base, and with them was a surprising sight. With a bugle call of reveal, the victorious troop of Slanter rode out in formation, much to the cheers of the troops on the perimeter. What's more, the crazy mutants did it. Tied up between them, and with 3 beast tamers keeping it under control, is the largest tunneler we've ever seen. They also had several more of the creatures tied together in a mass herd. The Slanter Major, a little worse for wear, rode up and saluted the ground commander and presented to him the tunneler Queen. The ground commander's report, a joint one with the Slanter Major, has called the operation a huge success and that the base has been more or less secured. Anyone else want to question if the Slanter was a bad idea? I think so. Reluctant as he is, Marcus has answered our request to negotiate on our behalf. Turns out our goodwill towards super mutants earned his respect, something that doesn't happen all too often, he says. Traveling from his home in Jacobstown, Marcus has effectively returned to the place of his birth, being let in with a small delegation of our own. The terms of the negotiation are we cannot know what they are talking about until a deal is reached, and they won't shoot at us, which is all the same, because volunteers for storming the base keep arriving by the dozen every hour. Let's hope they come to a deal. Yeah, because that sounds like it's going to be bloody, and seeing as we're supposed to not prosecute super mutants, that would be bad. Let's see here. Texas Commonwealth. Enough said. The nuclear war, the Brotherhood, the Real Republic, super mutants, or Santa Anna's robots could keep. I assume it's supposed to be couldn't keep Texas down. With the return of the Stars and Stripes, the president was in Dallas, marking the Texan city as the new capital of the restored Commonwealth that will now comprise Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. This marks the first true deviation from the pre-war Commonwealth system in that Oklahoma has been integrated into the Texas Commonwealth for administrative purposes, having formerly been placed in the Great Midwest Commonwealth. The president, however, declined to express the reason, though reports are saying it looks better on a map. That's fair. Settlers moving east are being advised by the new Commonwealth government that while the lands of Texas are more civilized than other parts of the country, they are still dangerous and unforgiving to those who are not prepared. Rumors of Addis remnants, haywire robots, and roving raiders in the eastern portion of the state are being reported. Caution is advised to stay with caravans, trains, or more with authorized U.S. Army convoys. Play the song. I can't get rid of it. I'm gonna get copyright striked for this. Hold on. I can pause the recording. I had to pause that for a good 2 minutes. I'm hoping that the amount that it got in is not enough to copyright me. I really do, but I don't know. That's the problem. Unironically, I could get copyright striked for that. Because that's not my music. Ugh. That's just fantastic. So about FEV. Oh, goody, what is this? Of all pre-war maladies that plague the wasteland, none has been more apparent than FEV. What started as an earnest attempt to protect Americans from Chinese biological attacks became a catalyst for nearly every major event in the post-war America. From the Masters Army to the literal plague that hit Utah, FEV has brought nothing but pain and destruction to the waste. However, our efforts in Dugway proving ground have bore some fruit. Working off our old research to omnicide cure the wasteland of radioactive maladies, scientists have managed to rework the deadly stuff into targeting certain wasteland horrors, from Casadoros to Deathclaws. Of course, anything involving requires presidential approval, and the science team is waiting your response. Are you kidding me? No! That's insane! What kind of madman thinks, oh yeah, that's a good idea? Hey. Prepare another market and we can train more people for, I guess, the Canadians. Sure. It's probably going to give me a whole bunch of events. If it does, I'm going to let you guys read them, and after that, I don't care. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Calm down, game. We have to do all of these stuff before we can decide. It's not what I wanted to assault the mine. So I'm going to read through all of these. How much time? We'll see if it gets to 2 hours. But if it does, we're getting a special 2-hour video to compensate. The strike went off without a hitch, and Army forces were able to secure the mine entrance with ease during the afternoon and set up to cover the mine entrance for the night. Then night came. Seems the mutants underneath were aware of something going on as they came out in force, running straight into the Army's guns. The mutants suicidally charged headlong into the bullets, lasers, and explosions to the point 3 vertibird gunships had to take off to provide additional firepower. After 2 hours of fighting, the battle ended, and some officers are wondering if there are any left down there. Maybe not. Assault on Arizona 1, the secondary Poseidon energy mine in the Grand Canyon. The mine itself has a few office structures that had decayed over the years but were still required to be cleared. Seems they still had functioning security systems, though, that only delayed operations for a few hours. By nightfall, the mutants came out of their cave but were easily beaten back into the mines by the Army forces arranged around the entrance. There was a few attempts by the mutants to break out of the mine, but apparently one of the officers was a former artilleryman and had a few friends, and thus they had a battery of 105mm cannons pointing at the entrance. They nearly brought the entire mine entrance down. Mutants meet firepower. That seems fair enough. Poseidon Easy Complex Clash. the largest of the mine's complexes, as it was the central hub of all uranium mining in the park. Initial foray into the complex was during the daytime. However, the mutants were hid in the buildings and threw spears and other crude weapons at our troops, and more than a few tried to jump onto the Verbers as they came in for our landing. We did have one Verber crash after a few of the mutants took out the blades by being chopped up in them. The area around the crash site basically became the foothold as additional troops with jetpacks were dispatched to land and clear additional landing zones that couldn't be landed in. After 12 hours of fighting, the EZ complex was secure with demolition teams burning out any remaining mutants in the buildings. Heavy weapons teams are setting up at the entrance to the mines using auto grenade launchers and heavy ordnance to ensure that the mutants don't come out of their little hovels. Now we gotta go in there. Thank you, person on DeviantArt, because that looks awesome. Hope it'll restore. We can get to that in a minute. Battle of the Pinion Plain. A delay had army troops land just before the sun fell on the old Pinion Plain mine. In fact, the vertebrates couldn't land because of the noise of their engines caused the mutants to scurry to the surface to repel the attack. Miniguns' barrels glowed red, and many troops resorted to dropping grenades out of the vertebrates as any attempt at landing nearly had the vertebrates overwhelmed and taken down. Thankfully, the mutants are only armed with spears and other primitive weapons, which saw them easy pickings for our troops. After an hour, our troops were finally able to land in established fighting positions, as well as clear out some of the adjacent structures of any of the mutant stragglers. Heavy weapons are being set up around the mine entrance, however, we rattled the things enough that they likely won't be coming out anytime soon. Now comes the next part. Thank you again for the person on DeviantArt who made this. Okay, Hopevale restored. Regular forces moved in not long after, supported by gunships and the Slanter with their new tunneler mounts. The Slanter Major has reported that several sweep and kill teams are still operating underneath the base looking for any remaining tunnelers that still lurk below. Preparations to move the Tunneler Queen off to the burrows are being made, as well as further tame the captured tunnelers, with the Slanter Major opinioning that with the Queen's breeding ability, they could breed large numbers of the tunnelers for new Slanter cavalry corps. While unorthodox, it can't be understated the effectiveness and speed with which the Slanter operated in the operation. Recommendations for awards and honors are already being passed up command for review. Despite initial reservations from generals and even the press for use of the Slanter corps in the operation, it cannot be understated the fact that they were instrumental in securing the base from the mutant threat. Good, good. Get me Rel Osen. We're gonna thank him personally, and I think the Divide will be re-annexed back in, I hope. We have so many war goals we could trigger right now, we really do. That's fine. It's whatever. Oh. After several days of negotiation, Marcus and our team emerged announcing a deal has been struck. The super mutants have agreed to stop raiding the local ranches and caravans for regular shipments of Brahmin and bighorns. Several of the more intelligent ones have proposed they could herd the livestock themselves, and for cheaper than the Brahmin barons that still hold a grip in Northern California. They'll even chase down and eat raiders and NCR rebels for a price. Finally, some of the more aggressive elements of the super mutants have agreed to fight as auxiliaries within our armed forces. Given the net intelligence and aggressiveness of most wastelanders, we're not expecting much of an issue in integrating them into the army. We got them on our side. Good enough. So we get super mutant auxiliaries and gets event echoes of something Horrigan. Oh no. Not him. Anything but him! I don't know who the Exclave are, but I want to find out. 46 days for this. Also, assault on the mines. Time to do it. Of course, given the nature of the mines, the army couldn't go in with explosives and thus broke out the flamers, the incinerators, and the flamethrowers. That just sounds like the same word said 3 times. Another thing they did was outfit the power armor worn by the assault teams with oxygen canisters that would allow them to operate for at least 12 hours in the caves. The reason is, aside burning them out, the idea is to seal up the mine and use the flames to literally burn up the air within the caves. The army will know it works when standard flamers are having difficulty lighting, thus turning the option to incinerators. The army is also sending in escorts with standing laser rifles just in case those mutants go into a frenzy or the flame weapons no longer work. This is the logical answer. This is definitely the logical answer. The president and their mutants. You see all this blue tech? Sorry, not tech. Text. Thank you for being charismatic. Granite paid visit to the Divide today to personally thank the Slanter for their actions in the Divide. The Slanter troopers stood in formation for the president's pass and review. While many were wounded and their uniforms weren't in the best shape, all showed up to be information for the president. And stood tall and proud, even if they did only come up to Granite's knees. After conducting his review, Granite gave an impassioned speech to the formation, saying how the Slanter had shown themselves as above equals to their humanoid counterparts in the military, and that their contributions in these past few days will not be forgotten, but remembered for years to come. Let no one ever speak ill of the Slanter Scout Corps, or that Slanter soldiers are not equal to that of human infantry. When your nation called upon you, you answered with a spirit and bravery befitting the American soldier, to face certain death, only to laugh in its face. Let none forget that you met your abominable foe, and not only defeated it, but took command of it as a human would a Brahmin. Today I stand before you a man before giants, with your actions keeping with the finest traditions of the United States military. America will remember what the Slanter Corps did here in the Divide. I thank you, your nation thanks you. May God bless America, and may God bless the Slanter. God bless the Slanter, God bless America. Birth of the tunnels. Operations are returning to normal at the base. Seismic activity hasn't picked anything up aside the roaming patrols of the Slanter deep underground. The ground operations commander has given the all clear, and non-combat personnel are beginning to return. By special presidential decree, Granite has awarded the former tunneler Hive to be a second Slanter borough, and already several families from the boroughs in Nevada have signed up to move to the Mojave. The tunnels, as they are now called, have become a mix of a new Slanter city and America's first military installation given over to the Slanter Corps, as well as the newly commissioned Slanter Cavalry Corps. The civilian population of the surrounding towns and settlements have returned as well, welcoming the victorious Slanter with open arms for their contributions in securing the Divide. We've even noticed an additional caravan traffic increase from the Slanter, increasing trade in the region as well. The former ground commander, now installation commander, has given the all clear, and the base is now secure. It's the American dream. The major becomes a unit leader. Interesting. The tactics and techniques that the Slanter have developed during their fight in the Divide has been solidified into a new doctrine. While the Slanter have proven invaluable as scouts, their small size often causes them to cover less ground than humans in a vehicle or even air recon. With their new mounts, the Slanter are able to cover terrain just as fast as any vehicle, and they can even engage in combat against foes thanks to the ferocity of their mounts. While it will take some time to get their breeding program up, the Army is looking forward to deploying their new cavalry across the wasteland. Ag technology, Slanter cavalry tech. Modo expire et decine nos. Kill me because I know that I really fucked up the pronunciation for that. Yikes. Interesting. Well, we got the Slanter now. Slanter Cavalry Corps, should I say. And we got the Major. Who is the Major? I don't know, but I'm sticking him in charge of this group. I found out who the Major is. Congratulations, Major. You're now leading an entire Enclave Power Armored Infantry unit. The ragged old flag. It's been there for 500 years. Ripped, torn, used, and abused. It's been stepped on, burned up, and betrayed. Paraded by men and women who turned the dream it once held into a nightmare. Before the Great War, the United States was a diseased husk of greed, ambition, and nationalism. When the Enclave returned, it what had once been the spirit of the free had turned into a demon of avarice, hypocrisy, and jingoism. It is ironic that in order to save the Enclave and by and large save America, that it needed to be destroyed. But the dream lived, carried by survivors of the Enclave and raised alongside by those they once considered enemies, representing more about what the United States was meant to be more than anything that was ever considered on the rig. The scars will remain and perhaps will never fade away, but times have changed once more. For the first time since the bombs fell, that very flag flies over the land once more, over the family in their homes, over the workers in the factories, over the teachers and students, over the soldiers on the front lines. Not just humans, but super mutants, ghouls, and even those who are not even human to begin with. All united under that ragged old world flag. July 4th, 2286. Oh, God bless America. It's beautiful. It truly is. Breaching the mines. Oh, right. The California thing. Forgot about that. Soon enough, you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You 8 countries shall join the United States again. 800 hours, army demo teams breached into the mines, armed to the teeth, and met with some resistance from the cannibal mutants inside the mines. Knowing that this is their home turf and where they know every nook and cranny, the army's approach has been slow, methodical, and deliberate. Any place that looks like it might be a tunnel small enough to squeeze into is lit up, and they are dropping auto laser turrets everywhere to ensure their backs are covered as they move further into the mines. That's fair. That's fair. The cannibal mutants themselves, we think, are realizing this is the end, as they are no longer just fighting with crude weapons but trying to tear at the power armor and rip helmets off. The little freaks are fast and agile, but they aren't exactly very strong, and some soldiers are foregoing laser rifles and just using their fists. I can respect that. It's the screams, though, that are unnerving. We're probably going to need to check every soldier that partook in this operation to go seek therapy, and given some of the recordings that have come up. Keep me informed. Get some event mine clearing ahead of schedule. Awesome. Alright, time to build up more of Texas. With more infrastructure. I guess decipher warband while we're at it. Because why? We gotta make sure that all of the United States, no matter how far away, is rebuilt. We're also rebuilding the Dominion of Canada too. I forgot about that. Doesn't matter though, because we're making progress. 38 days. We're invading Canada. Oh, hold on. Okay. Chill. Where was I? Invite Canada to the Alliance. Canada joins the Alliance. Queen Victoria VI announced today that the Dominion of Canada will be joining the United States and Republic of Mexico as another founding member of the Pan-American Alliance. President Grant and Republic of Mexico President Juarez were in the capital of New Victoria to sign the accords welcoming the Northern Dominion into the Alliance. President Juarez spoke at length at how the North American continent must be united against all threats that the post-Great War world must face, and that Dominion of Canada and Republic of Mexico should push to rely on each other as much as they rely on the United States. For Queen Country President and El Presidente, sorry. They're another member. We're going to find out Caesar out of the 4 states Commonwealth. Yeah, okay. Again, you guys can read that if you want. I've left it open long enough, I think, for you guys to get it. I'm moving down towards Operation Command. I want NORAD back simply for the storyline that you get from it. There's a certain story thing that I want to get to show off to you guys that the mod developer put in here. That I appreciate a good deal. Manage subjects. Flamer, cool. Purebreed mutts, cool. Pred mutts. Again, you can read that if you want. Okay. Again, read that if you want. Enclave Protectorate. They're all Enclave Protectorates. Ciphers, Dominion of Canada, Crow Creek, Dalmatia, Republic of Canada. There's 2 Republic of Canadas? Oh, this is Dominion of Canada, that's Republic of Canada. We should be able to return their territory to them afterwards, I think. We're gonna go with high pressure, why not? Under pressure, I guess. That was 1 second, YouTube, I swear. Back off. I'm allowed 1 second. Slanted cavalry equipment. Mine clearing ahead of schedule. Awesome. Just hold on 1 second. Sure, why not? Advanced power armor Mark 2. I want you dragged all the way to the top. We're also going to double the amount of factories you guys got on you, so we can hopefully plug that upgrade leak sooner rather than later. In fact, I'm going far enough to say we need 3. We need 3 entire lines of this power armor. Alright, mine clearing ahead of schedule. It's been 2 days and officers at the Grand Canyon are reporting that the operation is moving ahead of schedule, with Pinyon Plain mine already nearly cleared. The Pinyon mine team reported what we expected, that deep in the mines they seem to have developed a form of rudimentary society, although they are also reporting higher levels of radiation. A few bodies have been shipped for autopsy and study, but that's still ongoing. The teams have been given extra doses of rat eggs, and a shipment of rat away has been sent in just in case. Since most of the top levels have been cleared, heavily armored EPA teams are being escorted through the cleared sections, assessing the caves at the moment to see if they are an environmental hazard or not. So far, it was what was expected for uranium mines after 200 years. Good to hear. It's event body cleanup. Oh god. I hope that's for them and not for us. Hold on, real quick. DEFCON. We need to complete DEFCON. Where is DEFCON? No. DEFCON. Where is it? Here. NORAD. Okay. With the tunneler threat over, Ashton Airfield Base and Hopeville have been restored to full working order and are ready to begin operations. We've already identified several nuclear sites across the North American wasteland, though getting to them will be very difficult. Several areas are guarded by automated sentries that we cannot guarantee will answer to our codes, while others are either used as places of worship or incredibly irradiated since the Great War. It would likely be best if we secured these areas with conventional forces first before moving in with dedicated teams to secure them. It's doubtful anyone knows how to operate the complex computers needed to launch them, let alone realign their targeting systems. For now, America can rest easily knowing the military is keeping a vigilant watch for any nuclear threat. Good. Let's lock these things down. So now we got decisions to what's the word I'm looking for? Building the Rockies, okay. To secure the nukes. We get secure the nuke stuff. Where would that be? I don't know. Autopsy on the tunnelers. Oh, goody. Given the vast amount of tunnelers recovered, we've been able to dissect the things, and biologists have learned a few disturbing facts. First off, they were, at least human once. Yet there are no signs of FEV that caused these biological mutation, meaning this was straight radiation that mutated them. Biologists are baffled, as there have been other instances of underground humans having slight mutations, but nothing this drastic. Bioluminescence, scales, poison glands in their mouths, and eyes adapted to low-light environments. Whatever situation happened in the Divide during the Great War managed to regress the humans there beyond primate and out of mammal kingdom and into the realm of reptiles. Biologists are still wishing to study them more, especially as the Slanter learned to breed them to continue their cavalry corps. How is this even possible? Make way for the Royal Guard. Okay, cool. Again, you guys can read that if you want to. I don't care. Enough. I don't care enough. Specifically. Shame about the proclamation thing. Okay. Awesome. Cool. That's nice. Nice. Okay. Finally. We have no one else to send a royal delegation to. We're just going after the Broken Coast, I guess. We'll see where that's supposed to go, but... Nightly Order, cool. Pretty much we're about to go to war with the Broken Coast. NORAD, awesome. Something I can do. Hold on. Where's NORAD? DEFCON. NORAD must be restored. Dang it! I mean, oh no, that's just terrible. Great. I think this gives me a special event. We're going to start restoring the front door. Our return to Colorado is another stepping stone in our reclamation of America. However, in the mountains outside Colorado Springs lay the cornerstone of our national defense network, the North American Aerospace Defense Compound, NORAD. It was here that the Air Force watched vigilantly against any would-be Chinese attack and coordinated accordingly. It was also here that we laid the plans for the reclamation of America with a calculator. Now we've returned, and one of the first things we noticed was the fact that the door to the facility has been blown off, and there are still remnants of a battle between strange robots and the Brotherhood of Steel. We won't know exactly what happened until we get the base back up and running. Get that place back up and running. Decision to restore NORAD and are given to us. Awesome. Broken Coast has chosen war. Mr. President, the Queen has regrettably sent word that Broken Coast has not only refused the royal delegation of Union, but tossed them in the cold Pacific waters before hoisting them above the entrance to their capital as a warning. Despite the Queen's well wishes, Graven has chosen to face the Royal Army head-on. As per our agreement, Canadian forces are beginning combat operations, and our forces are on standby awaiting your orders. So they declare war. Blank has chosen war. I don't know who that was supposed to be, but okay. They even have the Canadian flag now. Nice. We're about to take all of the Dredger's territory, pretty much. Another tale of... Let's see. For years since the fall of Navarro, there has been another Texas legend. The legend of a Colonel Sam Houston V, who led a dissident Enclave group to Texas to rebuild after that devastating battle. While we have no way of knowing since our records went down with the rig, it's probably a bastardized tale of the group that fled east to Raven Rock with Dr. Autumn. However, a few of our soldiers in the former Pecos colony have found evidence of a previous Enclave force that had passed through. Another Texas, tall tale of Texas. That's interesting. Fruits of our labor. After several months of testing and design, we've managed to miniaturize the Jasper testing system down to what can be carried by a common infantryman. In short, we've relearned gauze weaponry. While it's going to take us some time to redevelop the weapon systems that we once carried into battle, this is a massive step forward in regaining our technological edge against our enemies. We come full circle on projectile weapons. Awesome. Got that. Oh, Lord. We're gonna do this one first. Operations in the mine are progressing smoothly, with Pine Nut Mine being reported clear with Arizona 1 nearing completion. The sheer size of the Poseidon EZ mine complex means it will be the last one cleared, even one ahead of schedule. Oxygen levels are reported at 0, as it seems the fires from our weapons have done their jobs, and soldiers are reporting bodies that suffocated rather than being burned alive. While the mine operation is ahead of schedule, we're running into another problem, especially in the Poseidon EZ complex, and it has to do with the sheer number of bodies piling up. We're not even going to scare soldiers anymore and are sending in robots to haul the bodies out onto trucks to a central location for disposal. Issue is, how are we going to dispose of them? Weren't there Deathclaws and Mirelurks in that area? Sure, send it. I don't care who the Psychics are. That was a national monument and they destroyed it. Harrison, you got Hopeville on the line? Yes, sir. Missiles will be armed and ready, replied the SECDF. No voice of reason was heard that day, just anger and rage. The fires of Mount Rushmore paled in comparison to what the Enclave could bring. What started nearly 400 years ago ended as mushroom clouds of the Enclave wrath descended upon the innocent lives of the Dakota and the Lakota, all for want of a mountain, and the blood that stained it. Scholars and historians debated who was to blame for the scouring of the Dakotas and the anarchy and bloodshed that followed in its wake. Many placed the blame at the feet of America, dating back to its actions in the 1800s. Others tried justifying the actions of the arrogance of the Shaper, secure in her belief that the United States was dead and there would be no consequence. Decades later, the remnants of the Sioux would continue to launch raids out of the Dakota Scar, waging a guerrilla war against the American government and anyone associated with it, and so this cycle of destruction. So we uncomplete the focus non-human rights, completes focus as firm as granite, politics will change, people will become the ruling party, public elections will not be held. Oh, for the Standing Rock. Can we... What is non... What? Oh no, my game is lagging. That's not good. Luckily, my recording software does not care. No, we're gonna keep it running. I want it running. Okay, I think that might be where we're calling the episode. Oh no, we are all good. Whew. I panicked there for a second. But yes, technically speaking, we can redo this focus. I don't know what happened. I'm not certain what happened. Canada. Call to arms. Thank you. Troops.
This is Enclave main com.
You're given your orders.
This is Enclave main com.
As of this moment, where are you? You're here, and what about you guys?
This is Enclave main com.
You're both getting your orders to attack, effective immediately. Clear through them. Civil Defense Administration, wonderful. Now, if you excuse me, 2 seconds. I'm going to go back and complete the focus. Oh my. To get non-human rights back, because I'm not certain why we lost them for a second. Our troops should be clearing through. We're about to take their second capital. Oh, I don't want to see that. Echoes of something Horgan. With the addition of the supermutant auxiliaries, a few of the more enterprising scientists within the military have brought forth a proposal to re-implement the finest instrument of warfare we ever designed, Frank Horgan. Now, while it is impossible for us to completely replicate that technology, mostly because the secrets lay directly with your old rival Anderson, we can make the next best thing, an armored chassis combined with a simple AI construct based off of the Mr. Gussie models worn by super mutants and sent into combat. These hulking behemoths would be unrivaled on the battlefield, raw mutated power, American technological superiority, and utmost loyalty ensured by their AI directing them on the battlefield. It is an ambitious plan, but it's one we think might work. Screw it. No, the mutant tribes of the Grand Canyon. No, that isn't something that was written by an Anderson devotee or purist. After studying a few of the images and drawings of the structures and symbols found in the mines, it appears that each mine was a unique tribe unto itself with their own distinct culture. Well, about as much culture as you can get from a deranged feral cannibal anyway. Best example of this is the Poseidon EZ mine complex, where the symbols found deep below are corruptions of the Poseidon Energy logo. This lines up with the autopsy and biological reports on the mutants, who report what we already guessed, that these things were once human. Leading a theory is that they are heavily mutated descendants of the mine workers and possibly tourists who took shelter in the uranium mines during the Great War, and the radiation given off from the bombs and from within the mines themselves turned them into what they are today. They likely turned to cannibalism given the limited food in the canyon, and were at war with each other over 200 years until we've arrived to end it. Sadly, this development is lost on the soldiers who are being forced to fight them underground, and the army is being forced to call in not reinforcements but replacements, as it's a nightmare down there. I see. Horrifying. I don't want to think about it. Is there any other technology I can get? I can get nuclear-powered attack planes, I guess. And nuclear jet bombers, which I would both get. And, I guess we'll research transport gliders. Not that it really matters. Alright, how soon is this war going to be ended? That's been bypassed. 51% towards capitulation. Will end when they have a certain amount of
Enclave here.
I don't know why these guys are taking so long.
You can say that again.
Grand Canyon mines fall silent. Officers are reporting that the massive mines under the Grand Canyon has been cleared, with initial sweeping teams finding no survivors, though secondary sweeps are being sent in just in case. However, with that, Director Collis is ready to return his teams to the area once we give the all clear. Very likely, a lingering presence in the form of turrets and bots will need to remain in order to ensure that they are clear. Initial EPA reports from the Pinon mine in Arizona 1 are reporting that the mines don't pose any more danger than before, and that they are to be sealed up and blocked off. Collis himself is wanting to convert the old EZ mine complex as the main EPA branch office in the area to continue to monitor and check the Grand Canyon, though he's going to ensure that the place has top-notch security because of all that has happened. I don't blame him, to be told. Looks like they're pushing north. Colonel Houston, I presume. We just got word from units near El Paso. Colonel Sam Houston, 5th, and his forces have been found. They've been hiding in a derelict vault for the past couple years, slowly rebuilding their numbers. They were quite surprised to see Enclave troops walking around, even more searching for them. He claims he was about to start operations to begin his own campaign similar to ours, just that the starting conditions weren't right. We also found evidence that they might have taken up raiding against some of the local towns, but the evidence is anecdotal at best. Having himself been forced to take in wasteland Americans to bolster his own troop numbers, he's on board with our reformist ways and is eager to return to active service recreating America. His forces have joined us as well, bolstering our forces in Texas, one of whom is Colonel Callahan's brother, whom the two shared a happy reunion. So we get a whole bunch of free generals, I guess. Ooh, you're not too bad, actually.
This is Enclave main com.
And with that, we are...
This is Enclave main com.
We'll switch you guys over to the regulars. You guys don't lose any of your experience. That's good. And we are going to officially remove that from templates. Awesome. And with that, non-human rights. Awesome. We got that back. That was a major X moment.
Enclave here.
Seriously, what is going on here? Why are my troops not pushing?
Enclave here. Enclave here.
Traders from Hawaii. We're gonna do the war support one. The families of Vegas. We'll do this one. Prosecution of Will Faster. We'll pardon him. I'm feeling particularly merciful today. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to murder large portions of the Broken Coast, but still fairly merciful today.
This is Enclave main com. Yeah.
Alright, just go ahead.
That's the new one.
Then I'll reassign them up here, I guess. I can lower an autonomy level of the Republic of Mexico? I can annex the Republic of Mexico? You know? What? I'm a little confused. I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand why the slanter has just suddenly stopped being American all of a sudden. Oh well. Suppose that's probably about where we're gonna end it off. We'll do this last focus, or this last message thing on here, and then we're gonna have to call it quits for episode 22. First and foremost was clearing the radiation around the front door and surrounding area, a task made difficult since Radaway tends to freeze in cold climates. After clearing that, tearing out the old door was trivial, and we even studied it somewhat to better reinforce it in the future. Putting it in was a simple engineering task that was done within a few days. Much of it was thanks to the industry of the West Coast, and we were able to ship it out and at last got the door sealed for the first time since it was blasted off, whenever that was. We posted guards around, and the place is looking like an actual military facility once more. That said, much of the surrounding area to our most vital installation in the central US is a menagerie of mutant monster activity, haywire rampaging robots, and Colorado Springs, which is starting to recover from the when Lanius' terror run through the region. Well, at least it's repaired. Awesome. Yeah, I'm not certain what happened with the whole slanter thing. I might just decide to console annex them because that's kind of dumb. I Wow. Okay. Yeah, the rain is coming down hard. If you didn't know, my area is currently getting hit by a hurricane. So yeah. You know what? Screw it. Right here, right now. Slanter, SLN, Annex, SLN. Yeah, I'm not certain why that happened, and I don't really care. We're gonna turn off debug now, but yeah, that weird freaking whatever that Psyx tribe or whatever it was called did really messed up my stuff. So anyway, but that's besides the point. We've rediscovered the Texclave, which is apparently a Texan version of the Enclave. They might have committed war crimes. I will not say whether they did or did not, but I am going to, however, going to remove all of this because they're not. There we go. That should fix some of the infrastructure. We can go after some of these guys next time, but Bren Redino? Whom? Sergeant Doran, Director Cause, Boris T. Bren Redino. Who are you? And why do I have you as a person? It's fine. It'll take like a day. Oh look, we're back in the positives. Who would have thought? But yeah, so we decide that Canada gets to be Canada. Technically speaking, we could annex the Mexicans, I guess. I assume it's because we built infrastructure in them by accident. Or not necessarily by accident, but yeah, we built infrastructure in them. Can I see your divisions? I'm fairly certain I can. You will hate me because they have claimed our territory. They hold our core provinces. And we like you. Because you hold, but even though you hold cores. Should be about the same composition for both, I think. Gotten nowhere in any of those, but that's fine. And it is what it is. We've gotten most of everything done. This is an extra long video for you guys, so you guys get more stuff. Next episode, we'll go over the last of the event stuff that we can get through. Particularly NORAD, I guess. And then, I don't know, just we'll finish up with everything else what we have to finish up with. But until then, I thank you all for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time. Remember, God bless the Enclave, and God bless America. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you all next time.